Yes.
Yeah.
Did they?
It being 6
'Cause I didn't
o'clock,
recognize the name.
Yeah.
I'm calling to order the Select Board meeting of June 30th, 2025. If you'd all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. This meeting is being telecast live by Chelmsford Telemedia and being recorded for later viewing by the public. And first on our agenda, we have public service announcements.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. So the first announcement tonight is the Chelmsford Market on the Common, Artisan and Farmers Market, announcing the 2025 season. This will be every Saturday on the Common, May 31st to October 11th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Enjoy locally grown and artisan crafts. A project update on the Chelmsford Lowell Bridge Bundle replacement. Chelmsford Lowell Bridge Bundle Replacement Project, Phase 1 bridge closures begin June 2025. The Mass Department of Transportation will fully replace 2 bridges in the town of Chelmsford. These include Westford Street over 495 in Chelmsford and Route 3A Gorham Street over 495 on the Chelmsford Lowell line. The contractor will begin early action work in April 2025, including signage and temporary traffic signal installation and preparation of a Phase 1 bridge detours. Following the completion of this work, the contractor anticipates implementing the Phase 1 bridge detours as follows. Gorham Street Bridge, full Phase 1 closure to be implemented Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. And the Westford Street Bridge, and pay attention to this one for this weekend, bridge closure to be implemented 24 hours a day from Thursday, June 26th to Thursday, July 3rd. The bridge will reopen on Friday, July 4th through Sunday, July 6th. Following this reopening, the full Phase 1 closure will be implemented on Monday, July 7th. Each bridge will be closed to vehicular traffic 24 hours a day for 12 to 18 months. A local detour route will be implemented at each bridge for all vehicles. Pedestrian access will be maintained across each bridge during these closures. Bicycle access will be maintained for Westford Street during the closure and will follow the vehicular detour route for the Gorham Street Bridge. When Phase 1 is completed, the bridges will reopen to all traffic. That was a long one. Okay, 4th of July festivities. Thursday, July 3rd, from 3 to 9 p.m. Art Festival, sponsored by the Chelmsford Art Society at the Center for the Arts, and that's 3 to 9 p.m. 5 to 10 p.m. is the Country Fair on the Chelmsford Common, sponsored by the Chelmsford Lions Club. From 5 to 7 is Martin and Kelly Country Band Concert from Nashville, Tennessee, sponsored by the Chelmsford Parade Committee. Enjoy food and drink vendors on the Common. From 6 p.m. to 6:15, the Suburbanettes will perform on the Common. And from 7:15 to 8:30, the Chelmsford Community Band will be performing on the Common. So that is all the festivities planned for Thursday, July 3rd. On Friday, July 4th, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., the Country Fair will be ongoing, sponsored by the Chelmsford Lions Club, and that'll be on the Center Common. At 8:30, there'll be a flag raising by the police and fire departments at the Center Common flagpole. 8:30 a.m., the Art Festival begins again at the Center for the Arts. 9:30 a.m., the Carson Road Race begins, and at 10 o'clock, the Independence Day Parade starts up at McCarthy.
And no rain.
And no rain. And not a lot of heat. Thank you, Jeff. Public information meetings on improvements on Route 3A Princeton Street from Richardson Road to Technology Drive. What's happening? An in-person public information meeting will be held for the Route 3 reconstruction project from Richardson Road extending southerly onto Route 4 to the intersection with Technology Drive. A traffic signal is proposed to be installed at the Route 3A Princeton Street Richardson Road intersection. How this might affect you is the Route 3A Princeton Street, Richardson Road intersection will have improved safety with the new traffic signal. Access management will be consolidated at driveways. Pedestrian and bicycle facilities will be constructed. This meeting will take place Tuesday, July 8th at 6 p.m. at the community room in the police station at 2 Old North Road in Chelmsford. Okay. Greater Lowell Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan. Imagine a region with safe sidewalks, connected bike lanes, and accessible transportation for all. The Greater Lowell Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan is a collaborative regional effort to improve walking and biking infrastructure. Together, they aim to close gaps in bike and pedestrian networks, enhance safety for all road users, build a connected, sustainable transportation system, ensure community voices shape future investments. You can get more information at nmcog.org/GL Bike Ped Plan. And again, that's Tuesday, July 8th, 6 to 7:30 at the Lowell Senior Center, sponsored by NIMCOG. Another project information from Mass DOT. This will be a project information meeting concerning the Rock Bridge replacement project. This notice is to inform the public of an upcoming in-person public information meeting to update the public on the status of the Rock Bridge replacement project in Lowell, Mass. The meeting will be held on Tuesday, July 15th from 6:30 to 8:30 at the Collegiate Charter School of Lowell Gymnasium located at 1857 Middlesex Street in Lowell. The public is encouraged to attend this meeting to learn more about the project and provide feedback. There'll be a presentation on the project, background, design development, schedule and construction phasing, early construction activities, public involvement, and next steps. The event will include a formal presentation followed by an opportunity for public questions and comments. All input will be reviewed and considered to the maximum extent possible. The meeting will be recorded and made available online for those unable to attend. To register for this meeting, you need to click there, and you can't do that on my page. So again, this is Mass DOT, so if you go to the Mass DOT site, you'll find something on that meeting there. Okay. There was further information on that, sorry. So project improvements on the Rock Bridge include the full replacement of the existing bridge with a permanent modern structure, improved traffic operations, new pedestrian and bicycle accommodations, enhanced safety features, landscape and hardscaping improvements, and better connections between Middlesex Street and Pawtucket Boulevard. The bridge will have increased capacity, providing 2 travel lanes in each direction, shoulders, sidewalks, and shared use paths on either side of the bridge for pedestrian and cyclists. Intersections at either end of the bridge will be reconstructed, as well as portions of the Wood Street, Pawtucket Boulevard, and Old Ferry Road. Again, that meeting 6:30 to 8:30, Collegiate Charter School of Lowell Gymnasium, 1857 Middlesex Street in Lowell. And that's it for, oh, wait, one more, sorry. Town of Chelmsford will convene the 2025 Fall Town Meeting on Monday, October 20th, 2025. Articles to be included on the warrant must be submitted to the office of the town manager at 50 Billricker Road prior to 4 o'clock on Monday, August 4th, 2025. Petitioned articles must carry the signatures of at least 10 voters. For more information, please contact the town manager's office at 978-250-5202. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Next up, we have general public input. Do we have someone here for public input? Hello.
Hello.
Just a reminder that we generally limit public input to 3 minutes, okay?
Shouldn't take all of the 3 minutes.
No problem.
My name is David Dodge, 19 Chestnut Hill Road here in town. I've been here since 1983. Moved here when I got a job. I grew up in Maine, moved here in town, and have loved the town. I'm speaking about the Coolest Farm property. And I'm reading, believe what an email already came to all of you folks from John Ray and the Friends of Coolest Farm. Chelmsford Select Board, it's been challenging to articulate our concerns about Coolest Farm in person, so please extend us the courtesy of reading the following, and I'm doing it now, into public record during this meeting. The Friends of Coolest Farm, a volunteer group formed after the Coolest Farm Task Force presented its findings to the Select Board, is disheartened by the decision to put this 42-acre property in the hands of the Conservation Commission. We understand Town Manager Paul Cohen and Concom are frustrated with our persistence on this topic, so we want to explain why we're persisting on this and why we're frustrated. Town meeting approved the purchase of Coolest Farm on October 16th, 2023 for open space and recreational use. On December 4th, 2023, Town Manager Cohen appointed a task force charged with conducting public input sessions and providing recommendations to Town Manager for open space use. In a Lowell Sun article, he was quoted as saying, "The hope and goal of the task force would be the next spring, the site can be ... and some stuff left out. The site can be moved forward to a productive community use." In a phone call on December 5th, the Sun also quoted the intention to use the land mostly as open space means that getting it ready for residents to use by the time the weather warms up again should be relatively straightforward. At the time of the task force appointment, the town manager provided the community preservation definition of open space that includes land for recreational use, quote unquote. He also provided the definition of recreational use, quote unquote, as active or passive, including but not limited to the use of land for community gardens, trails, non-commercial youth and adult sports, and the use of land as a park, playground, or athletic field. The task force proceeded enthusiastically with 8 public meetings while simultaneously embarking on an extensive cleanup of the property by volunteers, hand in hand with the Department of Public Works here in town. A huge investment of town resources was put into this, both volunteer and by the town. Mr. Cohen even approved cutting the public walking trail so the property could be used by the public as promised. The whole team that had worked on this felt very proud of the work completed in 4 short months. On May 16th, 2024, the Coolest Farm Task Force presented the recommendations to the Select Board. In the email, there's a link to that. Following that, without discussion or review of those recommendations, the Select Board stated during that meeting that Coolest Farm was now to be managed by the Conservation Commission. And since then, any effort to maintain the hard work done on the property has been blocked. Volunteer hard work. So yes, we are disheartened. Not only has volunteer mowing at Coolest Farm been abruptly halted, but the hard-won progress is visibly being lost to overgrowth, making the site harder to maintain and potentially hazardous. Large rocks are no longer visible beneath the weeds and tall grasses, posing a threat to equipment and volunteers when and if work on the site resumes. What's most troubling is the thoughtful work and recommendations of the task force to include an event area suitable for larger groups of people, historic interpretation, and ongoing community stewardship have not only been ignored, but they were never even acknowledged by the Select Board or Concom. Residents expected more from the town with regard to this property, as evidenced by their participation and input during our public meetings, and also I've noticed personally a lot of comments on the Facebook pages around town supporting the open space use of this and volunteer labor. To imply that we are simply upset about not liking the answer, as was stated at the Conservation Commission meeting on May 13th, is unfair and untrue. We don't understand the position of the town and the Select Board. What we're asking is for transparency, accountability, and the common sense opportunity to protect an investment the entire town made together, including the big purchase by the town. There's no state requirement prohibiting maintenance of a property before the conservation restriction is finalized, so you folks all have the authority to allow the low-impact maintenance you once welcomed. We also encourage you to ask the Coolest family how they feel about the current state of the land, where it's now starting to be overgrown again. I don't know how many of you actually have driven in that neighborhood up Pine Hill Road. You probably all have somewhere along the way. I've driven by it for 30 years. And when the Coolest Farm was, people were living there, the trees all around it were overgrown with, the vines, and they were dying. And that neighborhood still has the same problem. So that's part of the concern that we're having. If we're going to have open use of that space by the townspeople, it would make sense for us to try to be able to maintain. So we continue to offer our time, labor, and respect for both the land and the process. We're asking for the same in return, and would appreciate a response and explanation and the rationale made for the decisions. Thank you. Appreciate the time and consideration.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Do we have anyone else for public input?
No one on.
Pete does.
Hi, Pete.
I'm here in person.
Hi, Pete.
Pete Padula, I'm the director of Chelmsford Telemedia. And I am here in person to tell you that I'm going to email you very soon, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, because I just found out today that an issue that we've been talking about for years, I think this is the third state legislative session that this bill regarding funding for our telemedia operation is coming up. And there's a hearing on July 10th before the AITIC committee, which is I had to write it down, it's the Joint Committee on Advanced Information Technology, the Internet and Cybersecurity. And we are hoping, I've been asked by my colleagues at Mass Access, which is our lobby group, to drum up some support. So I'll be doing that with our community members to send some letters. So I just wanted to speak to you in person. I'll send you the information over the email tonight or tomorrow. If you feel compelled, I had hoped to get a resolution from you guys as a body, but there's really no time for that in this particular instance. So if you wanted to send a letter, either as a citizen or as a select board member or as a town manager, it's really just, in a nutshell, the bottom line of this bill is to match the legislation that makes funding for us possible right now, which allows for a small fee on people's cable TV bills. As you know, that source of revenue is declining because people don't have cable TV. However, streaming services may be evening out, but they certainly were on the rise for many years. So they use the same public rights of way that cable TV uses. So it's really just to match user fees on the Hulus and the Netflix of the world to somehow mitigate the loss of funding for Chelmsford Telemedia and similar operations around the state. So anyway, I'm just here to make my little pitch, but you'll get more details in person, through your email, either tonight or tomorrow. Okay? So thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Next up, we have committee vacancies.
Okay, committee vacancies as of July 1st, 2025. On the Agricultural Commission, there's one unexpired 3-year term ending June 30th, 2026. The Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee has one 3-year term ending June 30th, 2028. Board of Assessors has one unexpired 3-year term ending June 30th, 2027. Capital Planning Committee has one 3-year term ending June 30th, 2028. The Chelmsford Center for the Arts and the Town Hall Advisory Committee has one 3-year term ending June 30th, 2028. Commission on Disabilities has one unexpired 3-year term ending June 30th, 2026, two unexpired 3-year terms ending June 30th, 2027, and one 3-year term ending June 30th, 2028. Council on Agent Board has one unexpired 3-year term ending June 30th, 2026, and two 3-year terms ending June 30th, 2028. Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee has one unexpired 3-year term ending June 30th, 2026. Historic District Commission has an alternate member position, one unexpired 3-year term ending June 30th, 2027. Holiday Decorating Committee has two unexpired 1-year terms ending December 31st, 2025. Parade Committee welcomes all applicants to 1-year terms ending July 31st, 2026. Permanent Building Committee has one 3-year term ending June 30th, 2028. And the Recycling Committee has one unexpired 3-year term ending June 30th, 2026. If you're interested in serving on a town board or committee, please complete an online application available on the town website. For more information, please contact the town manager's office at 250-5202 or tmoffice@chelmsfordmass.gov.
Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.
Next up, we have public hearings. We have a public hearing for National Grid and Verizon poll petition for Old North Road. Do we have?
Yeah, we have National Grid areas. Brian's on the line.
Hi, Brian. Welcome.
Should state his name and
Hello.
stuff.
Brian, could you just say your name for the record?
Sure.
Thank you.
Of course. My name is Brian Saffler, and I'm here representing National Grid, located at 1101 North Andover Turnpike. Here to talk about the joint-owned pole petition regarding adding a new pole onto Old North Road, work request number 311-40211. We're essentially adding this pole to support a new EV charging station at the local pound that's located there. You can see the new pole is, the proposed pole is a black circle. Should be on the other side of the parking lot.
You may recall town meeting gave approval for the easements for the 6 electric vehicle charging stations, including the police station.
Okay.
Now they need a pole in the right-of-way, which falls under this hearing, to support that project.
It's within the
The
easement.
town project, yep. Yeah, this is within the right-of-way. They also have work going on in the easement onto the property, but town meeting's already granted that, so this is for a municipal project.
What do the notes next to the parking area say, the small notes? There's an arrow pointing to what's a pole? Does that say
Yep,
exist?
that just says
Proposed pole.
proposed pole for the EV charging stations.
Oh, okay, all right. It's not clear on my drawing here.
No, sorry, no, that's very small lettering.
Yeah.
So Paul, maybe you can answer this question, but will this be available for public use?
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
Are there any
The charging
houses?
stations, likely. Yeah.
Is that how it works? So a member of the public can just pull up and plug in, and is it a metered service, or is
Yeah,
it?
you've got to use like a swipe card and it charges you, yeah.
Okay.
Wait, is it in front of, wait, am I looking at the right spot? Is it
Front
in
of
front of
the
the
dog pound.
CCA?
But near the dog pound by the police station, so if you go down North Road past the police station entrance.
So the
further
police
down.
station would be up, so you'd come in Old North Road and
Yeah.
pull in the parking lot over here, and the police station's there, and the dog pound's right
Oh.
over here. Is that like a metal building?
Are there any houses there?
No,
Any
no,
residential
No,
houses?
the only thing is that the office building across the street.
Yeah, one Old North Road is the brick office building.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for National Grid? Okay. I'll take a motion if nobody has any questions or concerns.
Okay, I will make a motion to accept the
Close the
application.
public hearing.
Oh, make a motion to close the public hearing first.
Second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any discussion? Comments? No? All right, I'll take a motion then.
Motion to approve the application to install a new phone pole at 2 Old North Road as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for your time. Of course.
Okay, next up we have licenses.
And that, yeah, they're joining, she's joining us via Zoom as well. Queen, if you want to turn your camera on and your microphone on.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, how are you?
Evening.
I'm good.
So we have your application for a license here. Do you want to tell us what the party's for? Or I don't.
So we're having a Thanksgiving party at St. John the Evangelist, North Chelmsford.
Okay.
On July 20th.
July 20th, yes.
Early Thanksgiving this year.
That's a very early Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. What we call Thanksgiving, the African Nigerian way, is it's not the Thanksgiving that you know. It's just calling people to come to church with you and then they eat afterwards. That's it.
Yeah.
Just to thank God for something that happened or thereabout. I don't know how to explain beyond that.
Perfect.
I like it.
Every
Should
day
have
should be
Thanks-
Thanksgiving.
Every day should be Thanksgiving. It's wonderful. All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments? 2 to 10,
Do I see?
4 to
Tip.
8.
Yep. Next page.
Is it unusual for the time of the event to be different than the
Oh, there
actual
it is.
alcohol license?
Yeah, because they've got setup and breakdown.
Oh, yeah.
I
Okay,
think
that
they're
makes sense.
reversed, but
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Does
I'm
anybody
good.
have any questions, comments? If not, I'll take a motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion that this board approve a one-day beer and wine license for a birthday Thanksgiving party being held on July 20th, 2025 at St. John the Evangelist Church at 115 Middlesex Street as presented.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank
Have
you.
fun.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have a proposed memorial for Daphne Freeman at Cushing Place. So I can speak to this. We have, you guys have the documents in front of you, the memorial request. I did reach out to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee. In retrospect, I probably could have toss this your way, Pat, because you are the liaison for that board, but it was kind of last minute and I wanted to get it on the agenda tonight for them. So I reached out to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee and they did not have any concerns. They said the committee reviewed them and had no issues. The memorial is very nice, quote unquote. And the DPW does not have any concerns with coordinating with them to get this done. And that's about it. Oh, I did have, we don't have, Sharon isn't on Zoom, is she?
No.
Okay, I thought, she asked me if she should come in, and I told her that she did not have to, but I didn't know if she was going to anyway, so there's nobody here to speak to this, but.
yeah, she did, I did go to their meeting last week, the BPAC meeting, and she was there, and she mentioned, yeah, it'd be nice to know if the approval is granted,
Yeah.
because it could take a couple months to get this plaque.
Yeah.
So she wanted to order it as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I didn't know if they were gonna do it, or the DPW would do it, I'll put her, or maybe you can, do you wanna put her in touch with Christine
Sure.
for coordinating whatever they need to do? Okay, thank you. Yeah. I don't know,
So-
should I read the reason for recognition? Do we normally read, we don't normally read any of these into the record, right? It's kind of nice.
Well, they'll probably have a big
Ceremony.
A ceremony,
there
yeah.
at the time, and
Thanks.
I'll try to keep up with that, so to let everybody know when it will be.
And there's other ones there. There's 3
Yes.
existing boards there.
So that's the idea, is to match the boards that are there.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very similar to the one for Carol Clevin.
Yep.
You can see.
Perfect.
So does anybody have any questions, comments? All right, I'll take a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the monument and memorial for Daphne Freeman as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And yeah, Pat, if you could just let Sharon know, thank you. That would be great. And the bicycle, maybe copy the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee and the DPW so she can coordinate with them.
Okay.
That's the appropriate process, right? That's what I did the last
That
one.
should work.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next up we have Town Manager Bid Awards.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We have a couple of bid awards this evening, 3 of them pertaining to DPW. The first one is for the design of the McCarthy Middle School roof replacement. It is the design. 7 proposals were received to the RFP. The review committee reviewed all the proposals and has recommended award to Gale Associates of Rockland, Mass. in an amount not to exceed $175,000. Do you want me to do all 3, or do you want me to stop at each one? I can do all 3. Okay.
Yeah, do all
the
3.
second. All right. The second one is for the design of the South Row School Elementary School ceiling replacement project. There were 3 responses to this RFP for the design work. The review committee for the RFP recommends the bid award to James Carr Architecture and Design of Brookline, Mass. in the amount not to exceed $125,000. And then the final one, which is a sealed bid procurement process for the McCarthy Middle School exterior courts renovation project behind the police station. 4 bids were received for that project. The lowest responsive and responsible bidder is RAE Contracting of Tingsboro, Mass. In the amount of $992,000 inclusive of all ad alternates. And as you saw, there were 4 bids in that one, and the the pricing does appear to be with the market, given the spread between the low bid at $992, and then the next lowest bid was $1,018,000, $1,061,000, and then the fourth one was $1.3 million. So,
Wow,
so
that's
again,
for the McCarthy. Are they going to put in the pickleball or the multi?
It's going to be, and it's also going to be the deck hockey courts with the boards. That was one of the alternates, and there's some parking improvements and so forth. So it's going to be, it's going to really be nice when it's done, which is why they went with the ad alternates, and the schools contributing to some of the funding for this.
We have a commitment from the schools for that
Yep.
additional monies.
Yep. Yeah, we met with Jay Lang and Brian Curley, the facilities manager, last Friday, and we're all on board. So
Does
again,
it
those
include like the sitting areas and stuff around there? Or is
yeah,
this
there'll be
just
benches
like
and such.
the whole
but it's
thing?
going to be the
Yeah.
the basketball court, and so pickleball and deck hockey, the big one. Because remember, that got moved over from the high school when they did the high school exterior courts, because we
Yeah.
put the pickleball at the high school and moved the deck hockey over to McCarthy.
Oh, the
So it's gonna
pickleball people would be so thrilled.
Yeah.
My neighbors will be so thrilled. They ask me every time I see them when there are more pickleball courts are coming.
So on the South Row ceiling,
Progress.
when will that happen?
They'll do the design work now, and again, the reason of doing design work now is the hope is to bid it so the work can be next summer.
So the same time they're doing the roof?
Yeah,
Okay,
which actually will be nice.
Yeah,
Because
right.
everything will be disturbed, and again, you got to do it when the kids are out of school.
right.
And it
Yeah,
makes
they'll be
sense
working on-
because when you strip a roof like
Yep.
that, it makes a mess of the ceiling. So if they're coming down
Yep.
right after that, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Very good.
Okay.
Does anybody have any other questions or comments? No. Okay, I'll take a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the town manager bid awards, the 3 of them, as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Next up, we have town manager reports.
Thank you. The first one this evening has to do with the electricity supply aggregation bid results and program restructuring. And this follows the meeting we had several weeks ago regarding the procurement of it and how we would restructure it. And the good news is we fulfilled what was the hope and what was the directive of the board. Back on June 17th, bids came in. We have to execute that day as the market requires within a 3-hour period. And in essence, we are able to maintain the effective price for the electricity supply aggregation. However, we now will go to a default option that's greener at that same price. But then how this is probably the key structure, how it's structured. Basically, right now, our bid price for the default is 14.843 cents per kilowatt hour. Under the new program that kicks in November, the price will decline slightly to 14.72 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a slight reduction. But that will give a greener mix of 47% Class 1 renewable energy. For those who may want to opt down, you can go down to a 14 cents for what would be the minimum Class 1 renewables under the state law. And then those who want the greenest one could go to 100% renewable energy at 16.49 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's where we are, and obviously what will happen going forward is people who are in the default will be defaulted into what we're now calling basic green, which is that greener project, as well as those who are in what's currently called the greener one. And then again, if people want to, they can opt down to what we'll call the economy rate, or they can opt up to the greenest rate. So mailings will take place after Labor Day to notify people of the change and their options. And then obviously we'll be able to assist people who inquire either here at DPW with this project. So again, sort of the good news is the market was good and we fulfilled the the desires and directive of the board as well as the committee, the Green Energy and Sustainability Committee. So that's good news. Other good news is since the time of our last meeting, on a letter dated July 12th, we received the Office of the Attorney General's approval of the accessory dwelling unit bylaw that was approved by town meeting back in January at the special town meeting. It's probably one of the most longest bylaw approval letters we've seen, but the state is painstakingly reviewing these new ADU articles in their interest in promoting affordable housing. They only struck down language, three words in a language to make sure that it didn't require a special permit. This has been reviewed by town council. Town council suggested alternative language that is now being reviewed by the planning board and will probably come to fall town meeting. But the key thing to know is that the bylaw is approved, it's in effect, it meets the requirements of the new state law, and council also gave guidance, almost like a worksheet to the building commissioner, zoning enforcement officer, explaining how projects that come in under the bylaw should be reviewed to conform with our local bylaw and the state initiative. So good news is the bylaw is in effect, and again, there's just a minor edit. They wanted to make sure, the state, that people didn't feel that they needed site plan approval, because remember, it's by right, and so the language will be tweaked, or in this case added, because they actually struck the language that they thought was a little concerning. But anyway, it's in effect, and approval is taken place. So.
We do have some people that have applied for these, is that right?
Yeah, we have people who applied for
and
those.
they can still go through the process.
Right. But I think, as you remember at the town meeting, there was some concerns that it was an overreaching bylaw, that you couldn't deny, the extra curb cut and all this. And obviously, the Attorney General is comfortable with the directive that council, advised the planning board was an acceptable pathway. So, and again, what will happen, and I think we've intended that, I know it's the goal of this board, is after a year, we'll review the impact of the bylaw. And in fact, the under the new law, the state law, they have to provide quarterly reports to the state on the new, so everyone's watching to see how the bylaw is in effect, and then if and how or whether it may need to be adjusted in the future. But the good news is we're in compliance with the state law, and we have a working bylaw.
So we're in effect, it's just tweaking to be done.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's good news. The next item on my report this evening, let me just clean this up on the screen, is the annual requirement that I'm provided to, under the provisions of the town charter. Basically, I'm required to provide to the board, and I do annually, a list of people who could perform the duties of the town manager during my temporary absence or disability, and the list is the same as prior year. Finance Director John Souza, DPW Director Christine Clancy, or Police Chief Colin Spence, and either DPW Director Clancy or Police Chief Colin Spence could sign payroll and vendor warrants. And the reason that John couldn't do it is because John's signing the checks. So you can't have the guy signing the checks also approving the warrant. So, but the bottom line is that's this is the annual notification of that in accordance with the charter. And
Is this in order of importance, or whoever?
no, it's actually the board gets to make that selection. So hopefully it's never been exercised, and hopefully it won't be.
Darlene's not on that list?
No, because again, she prepares the warrants, and so she can't, you've got to have, it's the whole idea of checks and balances, so you can't have John or Darlene, who's involved with the warrant process, approving the warrants. So, and then lastly, the news as of the time, the preparation of this agenda is that in the supplemental fair share amendment funding appropriation, the earmark that the board requested through Senator Barrett's office was approved, and that will provide the town with $120,000 to be used for the road safety improvements that will be constructed on Chelmsford Street, basically the local portion between the town center and
Stedman?
past Fletcher Street to Alpine Lane. And that mostly had to do with the drainage study, you remember, and that Christine explained, and the work that's going on there. And so the goal is to basically line these projects all up with the state project that is on the tip, which has to do with the off-ramp signal, well, you used to call it signalization, but now it's roundabouts.
We'll see.
We'll see. But anyway, it's that project moving forward.
That's the one that goes to Stedman Street.
That's the one that goes to Stedman Street.
So
you
eventually
know.
it'll be the whole.
And the current version of that plan basically has roundabouts at the two highway intersections as opposed to traffic signals.
Oh,
And as Pat said, that's gonna go through a public hearing process.
Really?
And then I will be back in next meeting to give you an update on the state budget, which was approved by the legislature today, and now the governor has 10 days to sign it. I sent you an email yesterday summarizing the impacts. The news is very good in terms of earmarks. All your earmarks were requested. We're survived the conference committee and is now on the way to the governor. We don't expect the governor would act on any of the earmarks. And then the big thing was the Chapter 70 funding was the $150 per student, which was in the House and the Senate budget, so we knew it would carry, even though the governor initially had proposed an earlier amount. And then they kind of split the difference on the unrestricted general government aid, which used to be called lottery aid or general assistance, and that's only 1.1%. So within the next few days, we'll see the detailed local aid assessments and charges. Once probably they may do it before or after the governor has the 10 days to sign the budget, but that gives you all your other charges and assessments for charter schools and so forth. But by and large, if you've seen a lot of the press and everything, is the legislature reached a resolution for the first time in, I think,
Really?
a decade before the end of the current fiscal year. They will have an interim budget because they have to operate till the governor signs the permanent budget, and she has 10 days to act or send things back. She can not only can the governor veto, she can also send items back for amendment. And so that's why you have this window of extra time. So good news is everything is, as things stand today, are in good position.
And that's a good Chapter 70, because when did we get the
Yeah.
big Chapter 70 bump? Was it last year or the year
No,
before?
that went back about 3+ years ago,
Yeah.
but
I
and
feel
we're
like we
past
haven't
that.
expected it to be that big going
Right.
forward.
And then what's going to happen is next year is the final year of the 7-year Student Opportunities Act, Chapter 70 funding legislation. And one of the things in this budget is the legislature has directed the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to study the Chapter 70 formula on how to go forward, because there's this realization that there are maybe some imbalances on how the state is supporting local education.
Thank you.
So, anyway, trying to be polite. So, anyway, so the news overall is good. And so that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you. Next up, we have appointments.
Yeah, you have the annual appointments. There's the list that's on the screen, and those there. These are the ones basically are renewals. And under the Select Board, the Clean Energy Sustainability Committee is Jack Bergstrom. And then on those that are appointed by the town manager in terms of is the reappointment of the constable, Paul Erickson, for 1 year, and then the reappointment of Steve Mendez to the Zoning Board of Appeals for 3 years, and the appointment of Albert Glenn Diggs to the Zoning Board of Appeals as an associate member for 3 years, ending June 30th, 28. So again,
Has the constable always been only a year?
yeah.
I was going to ask that, too.
Could we make it? I know when it was elected, it was 3 years.
Yeah, and when we had the discussion when it was converted to appointed, through the town charter change, and there was a discussion about who was going to be appointed, how we were going to appoint it, and at that time the board felt 1 year. I mean, we could change it. I have to go.
it
Let me
in
go
the
check.
charter?
Let me go check.
Funny things going
let me go
on at
check.
that time, too.
Yeah, let
There
me
were
go
some
check.
people
Let me
that-
go check the charter language on that.
Brought in that.
Well, the
Okay.
transition from being an elected to an appointed
Yeah.
position, maybe.
There were some
Let it
people
just
that were
be
thinking
one year.
about going for it, and I think.
Yeah,
that's
all right,
why
I'll
they
check
were
the
1
constable
year.
term on that.
You
Okay.
might want to check with Paul to see if he wants
Yeah,
it.
he may not want 3 years too. Right.
Yeah.
Well, he can always
He can always resign, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
And
think
then-
it's worth looking at.
Yeah, the only other thing is it falls under the police chief, and so, and then so anyway, so we can I'll look into it further and let you know.
Okay.
So that's where it is on the annual appointments, And then to continue the topic of appointments, you do have one that falls under your jurisdiction, under the Clean Energy and Sustainability Committee, Jackie Zimbakakis of Whippletree Road, and that would be for a term ending June 30th, 2028. And then I have 2 appointments to the Tree Committee to fill the 2 vacancies on the Tree Committee. One is Kevin Powers of Eagle Nest Road, who's been attending the Tree Committee for almost the last 9 months. And has assisted on their projects, and then Robert Koth, who again has an extensive background in this area. And those terms would be June 30th, 2026 for Kevin, and June 30th, 2028 for Robert. So those are all the appointments that are before you this evening.
Okay.
Do we need to take these separately, like
No.
your appointments and the select board appointments?
No, you
or-
can approve them all as presented.
Okay. All right, you ready for a motion?
Yeah, nobody has any comments, questions? Sure, I'll take a motion.
I will make a motion to approve the annual appointments along with the select board appointments and town manager appointments as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, boy, that was quick. Next up, we have select board member liaison reports and referrals. Would you like to go first? Do you have anything?
Let's see, what do I have this week? I know I just got a email from Chief Ryan. We met last week up at North Fire, finally, and walked the punch list up there after the new siding went on, after the failed siding and everything. So we are winding down. There was just a few items left, and tomorrow they're going to show up, and they're painting the back door and fixing the few other things that they've got to paint the canopy bracket and a few other things, but that'll all be done tomorrow. So North Fire should be totally complete after all these years of trying to get it fixed. And I will say that we did get it fixed and completely re-sided at no cost to the town. I think it looks great. And so anyway, another one that's done. Permanent Building Committee hasn't met in the past couple of weeks, but they're ongoing with trying to get the 2 other fire stations squared away. And School Building Committee does not meet again now until August. And by the end of the summer, we should be zeroing in on having an architect. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Pat?
Okay, I have a couple of things. This past Saturday, I attended an Eagle Court of Honor for Ben Pleva, our latest Eagle Scout from Chelmsford, so congratulations to Ben. Last week, we were out behind the town offices for the ribbon cutting for the new food pantry trailer, which we...
Looks great.
Yeah, it looks really good. It's, yeah, definitely was needed, for sure. And some of that came from prior earmarks from our legislative delegation, so thanks for all that. Condolences to the family of Nancy Mayer. I don't know if anybody here, do you remember Nancy?
Yeah, she's in the assessor's office. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she passed away. I just saw it in the paper, I think today or yesterday, so condolences to her family. And just wanted to note, since it's been something we've been talking about a lot lately, at the last Chelmsford Water District regular meeting, they signed a contract for the construction of a PFAS treatment facility, and they should be having a groundbreaking later this year, probably around the September timeframe. So that's exciting. Finally seeing something being done about it, and we'll see how it goes.
Excellent.
That's all I have.
Okay, Jeff?
All right, well, excuse me, I'll start with cemetery, because Superintendent Boyle and I attended a New Hampshire funeral conference last week, and we tried to gather some more information about the mausoleums and what other towns were doing. And Dave was up there to get his funeral director's license renewed, because he needs so many credits a year to keep his license going. So, and then, as I mentioned today, I was up in Portland, Maine, looking at a project I had done about 10 years ago, and I noticed that they had some mausoleums. So I asked the director, I said, "Have you had any issues?" She goes, "Nope, none." And I said, do you have any rules and regulations that we could maybe borrow? And she said, anything they had, they'd be more than happy to share with us. But so I drove through the section, and it was done very well. I mean, it was tasteful. I was confident that if we kind of go by that model, it's going to be perfect. So my other two committees unfortunately met on the same night, which was Conservation and Parade, and I was out of town that week. So I missed Conservation's discussion, but Carl and I will continue to email and stay on top of things as concerns arise. Parade, they did the lineup, and from what I'm told, everything's ready to go and no issues. Paul, you were there. So as I mentioned, it's going to be a lovely day on Friday, and we're excited. I mean, this week for us is, you have to understand, we start working in September, and pretty much every month except through the holidays we take a break, and we're constantly reviewing things and flagging down emails and phone calls and questions. So but I think one of the things that the committee decided is that we are going to be the judges of their parade, their float contest this year. So it's kind of on us. I'm not thrilled about it, to be honest with you.
Which brings the question, should we get up there a little earlier than, maybe, than?
Well, that's why we bumped it to 9:15, right, instead of 9:30.
Is that why it was
9:15, you'll be up there by 9:30. Yeah, you'll be able to get through.
Yeah, most of the floats won't arrive till 9 o'clock, and then Chuck's got to get them lined up, and I'll have a list that we can all kind of, mark notes, and we can walk around and just keep a low profile so they don't realize that what you're
I mean,
doing.
my kid's on the softball float, so I might be biased. They're cute. Okay.
Well, you can opt out if you choose to do that, but
Conflict of interest.
it's funny, I get a lot of phone calls and emails, what are they looking for? I'm like, entertainment, that's what we're looking for. I said, but I can't give away any trade secrets, people, I'm just excited that we're getting this much, which is what we hoped would happen when we decided we were going to award prizes. We hoped that people were going to step up and start getting creative again, like we did, 20, 30 years ago. Every parade, I remember Hank Hamlin and I used to always win the business float award, and because they used to have that many floats where they had to differentiate between the business floats and the residence floats. So that kind of went away for a while, and we're hoping to bring that back, and so we're excited about it.
So we're left to our own devices when it comes to judging criteria?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. We don't have a checklist or anything like that.
Okay.
Because there's not really a theme. Well, the theme is, 1775, the Battle of Bunker Hill, and I don't take it lightly what we do. I mean, I'm so honored to be able to plan this event every year and walk through the halls of this building, and you see some of the history of the Minutemen that had gone to Lexington and Concord, and I feel like this parade honors those people, and don't mean to get over the top, but I take that real seriously. I mean, it's just really cool to think, these guys 250 years ago went to make sure that the war didn't come to Chelmsford. So we have an opportunity to honor them. And I'm hoping next year that we come up with some really great ideas for the 250th, but so that's where we're at right now.
Kudos to everybody that gets
it's
involved
an
and
amazing
makes it
committee.
happen.
Everybody on that committee is just, off the charts. I can't say enough about it.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yeah, it was a pretty light meeting week, so there was nothing new from since the last meeting on the Vinyl Square. They are meeting on the 21st, so I'm sure there'll be something after that. Council on Aging, same thing. We met earlier in the month, and you got a report. Age Friendly met last week, and they're still working on their action plan and making updates there, so nothing new to publicly announce yet. Deb wanted me to remind everybody, though, that their craft noons are coming up on the 14th and the 28th. Those are Mondays from 1 to 8. And then the 11th and the 25th of August. Bring your own supplies, bring your own snacks. It's meant to just get together and craft away, and any kids under 14, I think. Need to have an adult, but anybody older than that can come down and hang out and craft together. And then the Board of Health would normally meet tomorrow. There's no meeting tomorrow, so I had to take that off my calendar. But I did get a copy of their newsletter that I think will go out tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. They're also sending the mosquito control letter with that. So there's 7 days across the month of July. And then the planning board, which seems to be the ever busy committee, those meetings are pretty packed full. So they had a couple of they had a review of their the Old North Road project. They had a a lengthy discussion on the 300 Billrica Road project. So that's going to continue on. And they are diligently working on zoning articles for fall town meeting, so there'll be public hearings all summer long. I definitely encourage people to continue to follow that, especially the town meeting reps, because you're going to need to be ready to vote on those. And then their last kind of big discussion was on the managed growth strategy, which they're going to put together the committee on. So and they're working on getting a consultant. So that managed growth strategy plan is it's going to be a much more detailed plan than what we came up with in the strategic plan, but it's not going to be any less work. I mean, it's going to be a big project. So they're going to get some grant funding to do that. I got the opportunity to see the grant that they put together, and I think if they get the right team to support them, like we had with Barry Dunn, I look forward to some of the output of that. So they're still working on committee makeup and how they're going to assign people and what that's going to be. There was talk of 2 select board members. There's going to be at least one of that, so somebody will be able to serve on that from the board and be a part of that group. They're thinking anywhere between 10 and 11 members, so a couple folks from the public. So if you haven't had a chance to see that, you can go review the end of that meeting at Chelmsford Telemedia just to get an idea of where they're at in case you're one of us is asked to serve. That's all I had for updates.
Thanks. I just have a couple. I was reminded when we got here tonight that I never updated you guys on the memorial request that we had from Dana Manning a few months ago. They requested a bench at Varney Park in the playground for their son that they lost a couple of years ago. And I just wanted to let you know that went in and the bench is up there. And it's a nice testament to their son that they lost. So that is up. Also, I have the ZBA held their meeting. I think it was 2 weeks ago, but before our last meeting, or after our last meeting, on the Ledge Road permitting, and upheld their decision upheld the building inspector's decision to deny that permit. So that's done for the time being. And this
It's in land court.
until so we'll see where that goes. But and 243 River Neck Road was the same. So those two are kind of off to the back burner for the moment. But we'll see.
Did they appeal
where
yet?
they go?
Yeah, they're finally
They've both
appealed.
appealed,
Yeah,
right?
for
Yeah.
Riverneck, yep.
So we'll see where those go. And then the only other thing I have is we mentioned at our last meeting that Jim Martin had resigned from the tree committee. And the tree committee did have a statement that they wanted to read. They said, the select board and the tree committee thank Jim Martin for his service supporting Chelmsford's tree program. Jim has been a key player in Chelmsford's progress in applying best practices to management of our public trees for over a decade. Improving tree canopy is now established as a key town objective in the new strategic plan. We are deeply appreciative of the role Jim has played to help guide us in this important milestone. We also thank Jim for his offer to consult to the town and the tree committee on special projects and look forward to continuing to work together. And they gave me some examples of some of the achievements that he has kind of had during his time there. They said training DPW staff on proper tree selection, planting, and maintenance. which achieved an unusually high survival of the 22 trees that the town planted on the common in 2022. He created a database of our public trees, which will benefit us for years to come. They said modeling our tree canopy loss to help guide town planning, expert consulting to many town projects for the betterment of our trees, and supporting community events promoting trees. So I wanted to read that for them and to thank Jim Martin again for all of his time and expertise that he put into the tree committee. And that is all I have. So with that, we do have executive session. And I will take a motion.
Okay, I will make a motion to adjourn to executive session, not to return.
Oh, I think you
I'll
have to
second
For
that.
we have to read
the
that.
reason?
Regarding strategy with respect to potential litigation, usage rights on town-owned parcel 73-289-4 located at 70 Billerica Road. Sorry about that.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
No, roll call.
Oh, for
Has to be a roll
executive
call.
session? Just executive session, right?
Forget.
My apologies. So we're going to do a roll call vote. So we have a motion and a second. Jeff Hardy,
Aye.
Aaron,
Yes.
Aye.
Pat,
Yes.
and I'm an aye. With that, we're adjourned. Thank you.